How are you doing today? I hope you're doing great. Welcome back to my channel. I am Karina Joy and I am happy to have you here. Today I am going to talk about my 2022 reading goals, and they might be too ambitious, but I'm going to try, and we'll see. So I'm going to make this video, and then about halfway through the year, I'm sure I'm going to review it and be like, I'm not doing any of those things. Coffee just isn't as good when it's cold. Okay, I'm having a problem. For some reason my camera wants to be crooked. Okay, so reading goals for 2022. This year I read, to pull it up. Okay, so this year so far, my Goodreads says that I've read like 13,000 pages. I still have a few more books to wrap up before the end of the month. I'm a purist. I'm not going to wrap up my month until the last day. And that's the last day of the year, so I want those to go on to this year's reading stats, I guess. So next year's goal, I want to read 15,000 pages. I think that's pretty fair. This year I read 13,000, and I actually had about 6 months of the year where I didn't really read a whole lot. At least not compared to what I usually do. We had funerals and cross-country travel and sickness and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I didn't get near as much done during from July to November that I wanted to. So I think 15,000 is fair. I'm hoping maybe I can beat that, but we'll see. Okay, so this year I have learned that I really love short stories. It doesn't seem like a very popular opinion because, I don't know, a lot of people really like to read a full-length book with all the character development and things like that, but I really think it takes talent to write a story that interests people and ends so quickly. And so, short stories, I really like if they're written well. So one of my goals is to read 275 short stories. And then I want to read 60 books for myself and then 200 books altogether. This year I've read around, I want to say 50-ish books for myself, and I'm almost at 200 altogether. I like to put all of my books into Goodreads just because I've always read quite a bit and I've always wondered how much I read. And so when I found Goodreads and realized I could track it on there and it was super easy, it wasn't like pen and paper writing down everything I read. I can just quickly scan the book and then record that I read it. So I add everything on Goodreads from toddler books to adult books because I want to know how much I read no matter what, because I read to my kids out loud. To me, that's still me reading and I want to know about it. But I still have goals for myself and above and beyond that. So for myself, I want to read 60 books. I think I've read around 50 something. I'll have a 2021 wrap up coming soon, and I will let you know exactly the amount of books I read for myself. Next year I want to try to read 60 and then 200 altogether, which this year my goal was 60 and I crushed it. 60 altogether. And I thought that was going to be hard to reach, but I crushed it. So clearly I read way more than I thought I did. Okay, so I want to read through the Bible at least twice. So the Bible that I've been reading out of, it is an ESV journaling Bible, and it's like, I want to say it's like 1,498 pages long. And so I decided I would divide, however many days are in 6 months, divide that by the 1,400. If I read like 8 or 9 pages a day, I can read through the Bible twice. I'm tossing around making a reading plan, but I don't know. I'll have to see. I want to look at some other reading plans and things, but I kind of I like to go skip around. I had a reading plan that I really liked a while ago that was like, one day you read from the Pentateuch, one day you read from like the history books, one day you read from poetry, prophecy, gospels, letters. I really liked that. So I want to try to do something like that, but faster, because that one was for a whole year. So I want to do something like that, but make it 6 months. I've never done that in a year before, where I've read the Bible twice. I've been really enjoying reading the Bible the last few months. I've just kind of dived in a little bit more than I have in the past. I don't know, it's one of my favorite books. It's written, if you just want to go off of like a literary standpoint, it's written so well, but also, the spiritual aspect to it, it's an amazing book. It's how we live our lives, and so I'm excited to read it twice this year. Okay, so I have the 4 challenges that I talked about in my January TBR that I'd like to complete. That's the 2022 Goodreads Alphabet Challenge. I created that challenge, and I will link the video below and hopefully here in the cards. And then every month I plan on making a 4-prompt reading challenge. That will be the What Brings You Joy reading challenge. And then I'm joining in on the Read Your Bookshelf. I said that incredibly weird. Read Your Bookshelf challenge with Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day. And then I am also going to try to do a vlog once a month that is Battle of the Books. This will be 2 books pitted against each other about the same topic. Most of the books that I've looked at that I'm considering using, it's going to be like a classic that I've never read and then a retelling. But there might be some other ones. Like in January, I'm doing Under the Ashes and Into the Firestorm, and those are both about the San Francisco fire back in 1906. So sometimes it won't be a classic and a retelling. I just really like that concept. I found some really cute like graphic novels that go along with classics. I thought that would be fun to read along the way. Or there's these new books that have been coming out that are called Classic Remixed. So the first one I'm going to do that's battling it out on that one is Treasure Island and A Clash of Steel. And these are both Treasure Island stories. One is obviously the classic, and the other one is the retelling that looks like it's happening in Asia. So I'm super, super excited about those. I have some long-term goals. These are basically going to be if I can fit them in on top of my other stuff. So I don't have a time frame on these. If it takes me years to get these done, that's okay with me. These are just things that I would like to do. So I have, I really enjoy Sharon Creech's middle grade books. We read, I want to say 2 or 3 of them this year, and I've enjoyed them. So I want to read all of her books. She has, I think, 24 books, and they're usually, I mean, little middle grade books. And so I want to read those. And then I have a list that I created of 100 classics that I would like to read. Eventually, I will probably do a video on that. But I've found a few lists that were like pre-done, but it had books on there that I just wasn't really interested in. So I went through and found books that I wanted to read instead of books that other people thought I should read. So then I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to make a list of 100 middle grade books that I'd like to read. Just because I really like middle grade. They're, honestly, before this year, I've never read them for myself. I've read them to my kids, and loved every bit of them, reading them to my kids. And I never really thought about picking them up just for me to read until this year. And then I've started doing that, and I really enjoy it. So I want to have a list of 100 middle grade books to pull from. I really like things like Scribd that have audiobooks. Middle grades are typically shorter books, and so some of those books are only like 2 or 3 hours long, and if I'm traveling or doing chores or something like that, I can pop some headphones in, listen to those while I'm working or driving, and kind of get a book checked off my list that didn't take a whole lot of effort. So that's my goal for that. And then this year, I'm super excited, is the 100th anniversary for the Newberry Award. In January, they'll be announcing their 100th award, and it's so exciting. I can't believe it. I've always loved, I honestly can't think of one Newberry book that I've read that I didn't enjoy. They are just the cream of the crop books, and that's why they win these awards. So this year is 100 years. So I'm going to try to read all 100. And of course, if this takes me longer than a year, which it probably will, I'll add on to it as we go. But I'm super excited that there's 100 books, because that's like the perfect number to make a list out of. It just makes me happy. So those are my reading goals for me. I have some family reading goals. We do school 4 days a week. We do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday we have speech therapy, and so I just take that day off because it's just easier that way. But I wanted to do a little bit better with our reading this next year. I've done really bad the last 6 months reading to the kids. We've switched to Time for Learning, which is awesome for their curriculum, but I still want to read them good books, because I really think that it's important to read to your children. It creates memories, it makes them smarter, it makes you smarter. You might as well just enjoy learning with your children. So during that read aloud time, I let my kids play with Play-Doh or build Legos or do puzzles. I have tons of boxes full of activities. I just pick a box, give it to them, and then I read. So this year, I started out the year trying to do unit studies, and I failed miserably. So instead of unit studies, I think I'm just going to pick some books that go along with the same topic. So my goal is, for 3 of the books that we read in a month, I'd like them to be about the same topic. So next month, I think I'm going to do space. I have probably have more books than 3 on space on my shelf, and so we'll read those. And then I would like to read 2 chapter books a month. It doesn't necessarily have to be a middle grade. It could be like, there's some younger books that are like, I don't know, that thin, that my kids like to listen to. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a long chapter book. I just want to read them more than just a picture book. I want to read 2 of those a month. And then I would like to read 8 living picture books every month. If you don't know what a living book is, it is a book that, I don't know how to explain it, gives like an important message. It isn't what they call a twaddle, which is like a book that doesn't really have a point. I'm trying to think of one that wouldn't like offend anybody. If you look at like the Disney books that are like based off of their TV shows, like Disney Junior, or like the Bubble Guppies book that's just like a retelling of one of the episodes on Bubble Guppies, those are twaddle. Books that are like living books are gonna be like A Year on Maple Farm, I think is what it's called. Let me see, I probably have some more in here. Okay, so a living book is written in a narrative. It is written as if the author is telling you a story, and it's typically about something that's happened like in history. So I just pulled this one up. I have the actual picture book of it. It's The Girl Who Named Pluto. So this is an example of a living book because it is a story about the girl who named Pluto, and it is a narrative book. Just an example of what a living book is. I want to read 8 of those to my kids each year. Or not each year, each month. Okay, and then I have a few BookTube goals. It's nothing too snazzy. BookTube is really just a hobby for me. Something fun. I can talk about books for as long as I want, and people can either listen or not listen. It's just a lot of fun for me. So my BookTube goals are mainly just to post 2 videos a week, and then I would like to reach 500 subscribers. I'm not in it to monetize. If I did, that would be awesome, but it's not my main goal. My main goal is to sit here, join a community of people that love books, and just hopefully lead you guys to some books that you might like to read and find books that I want to read. That's my goal for BookTube. And then that is all of my goals that have to do with reading. I obviously have some personal goals that may or may not have to do with like working out and weight loss and things like that, but I don't think you want to hear those. So that is my 2022 goals. I'm not sure if I'll make it. We'll see. I'm excited about it. This is like the first year that I'm starting out the year with some major reading goals. Before, I've always just kind of read here and there and whatever, but this year I've really gotten into the hobby of reading, and I am loving it, and so I'm excited. I'm hoping that I reach my goals, but I know life can get crazy sometimes and it doesn't happen. So if that happens, I'm okay with it, but I really want to achieve my goals. So that is all for this video. Soon I will have my wrap up for the year, my favorite books, all the fun things. Yeah, if you like this video, like and subscribe. Hit the little bell so that you can be notified when I post new videos, and I hope to see you in the next one.